Texas Math Mundo audience, we have a real treat in store for us for today. We have a 5-time UIL state champion, Mike Garcia, a proud San Isidro High School Tiger, Class 1A. The years were 2004 and 2005. Mike Garcia, 5-time UIL state champion, right ahead. Let me take a moment and ask that if you enjoy this content, please hit the subscription button and the notification bell, smash that like button, and leave a comment below. It really helps me out with the YouTube algorithm, and so if you do that, it really helps me out, and I appreciate it very much. Mike Garcia right ahead. My name is Saul Cantu, and this is Texas Math Mundo. Texas Math Mundo audience, do we have a treat in store for us? We have a 5-time UIL state champion in the house. In 2004, he was the calculator, mathematics, and number sense state champion. In 2005, he was the calculator and mathematics state champion, along with numerous other top 5 finishes from Class 1A. A proud San Isidro High School Tiger, Mr. Mike Garcia, in the house. Welcome aboard, Mike.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, I'm so happy you're here. I can't wait to have a conversation with you. This should be a lot of fun. From a 5-time state champion, man. I'm really interested in your perspective.
Sure, yeah.
Let's start off with, hey, how are you doing, man? How are you handling the pandemic? How's it going?
Pretty good. The pandemic's been tough for everyone. It was a little weird for my wife and I. We moved. We're in San Diego, California right now. We moved out here in August of 2019. So, we got to enjoy San Diego for, a few months before the pandemic hit. But for me, speaking for myself, I work from home. I've worked from home since we moved out here. So it was, at least for the work part of it, it was a pretty easy transition for me because I've worked from home the whole time. So in that sense, it's been easy. The social aspects, of course, have been kind of tough to deal with. I've only been back to Texas, a couple times since we moved out here, and only once since the pandemic. So that part's been tough, but I think for the most part, we've weathered it pretty well. So.
And so what are you up to nowadays, professionally, career-wise? How do you pay the bills?
Yeah, I am a design engineer by trade. I went to school for mechanical engineering. I work for an oil field services company, Baker Hughes. They're based in Houston. I've been with them pretty much the entirety of my professional career as an engineer. I guess I'm coming up on 12 years with them in May. I was off for about a year in the last downturn about 6 years ago, I got laid off in 2016 and was off for a short while and then got rehired back by them. So I've been with them pretty much my entire professional career.
Oh, wow. Wow. As a design engineer, is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Wow. Sounds fascinating. Sounds interesting.
Yeah.
When not working, what are your hobbies and interests?
Yeah. I have a bunch. I think I have too many sometimes. There's a lot of things. I brew beer. I'm a home brewer whenever I find the time to do that. I'm into photography. We bought a camera, a nice camera, around this time last year, during my wife's pregnancy. In anticipation of our son being born, we wanted to take photos to document the pregnancy. And then, of course, once he arrived, and with that, I've gotten a lot more into photography. I have an old-fashioned film camera now that I'm trying to learn how to use. What else? RC cars. I've had an RC car for a long time now. Whenever I get the chance to take it out for a drive, I do that. Video games.
Remote control, right?
Remote control, yeah, little 1/10 scale monster truck little thing. And then I play video games with a lot of my friends back in Texas whenever I find the time to do it. Throughout the pandemic, really, I started playing with them really as a way to stay connected, just to have a couple hours a week to chat with them and kind of see what's going on. So that's been a lot of fun as well.
All right, wow, you have a very full life with the family, and then
yes,
hobbies. It's hard to find time for everything.
Yeah, it really is.
Awesome. Well, 5-time UIL state champion. So I want to dig into a little bit of your past. Where are you from, born and raised, and what is your cultural heritage?
Sure. I would say I haven't dug into it too much, but I think I'm either third or fourth generation Mexican American. I was born in McAllen. I lived in McAllen with my parents probably the first, if I'm remembering correctly, like the first 2 to 3 years of my life. My parents are both educators. Neither of them are teaching anymore, but basically my entire life they were either teachers or administrators. When I was, I think 3, they both got jobs in La Gruya, which is like a small town east of Rio Grande City in the valley. I don't know if you've heard of that town before. And I attended pre-K and kindergarten in La Gruya. And then in 94, when I was 6, my dad got a job in Sherryland. My mom got a job in La Jolla. So I went to elementary school in La Jolla for basically 1st through 4th grade. And then going into 5th grade is when my dad got a job in San Isidro. My dad's from San Isidro originally. So we all moved out there. And I was there from 5th grade basically through my senior year of high school.
So where is San Isidro, like for us that don't know?
Sure. Yeah. So the valley's, 4 counties at the very southern tip of Texas. San Isidro is in the northeast corner of Starr County, pretty close to Hidalgo County. It's about 30 miles from Rio Grande City, which is the closest city. If you were to try to take like a straight drive to the border, it'd probably be like a 35-40 minute drive from San Isidro. It's a really small town. I think the school district probably draws from a couple other small towns in total, probably like 1,000 people in all those towns combined. I think San Isidro officially probably has like 200 people as its population. My graduating class was 14 people, so it's a very small town. It's a true 1A town.
So, when did you realize that you had a talent for mathematics?
I don't know if it's like I wouldn't call it a self-realization. When you're that young, it's more people telling you that you do have a talent for it, right? These math competitions, they weren't my first introduction to UIL. My first UIL events were oral reading and creative writing when I was in like the first and second grade. I think, maybe based on how I was doing in school, my mom might have realized that I might have had an affinity for it. I think I started doing number sense in the second grade. And my mom was my first coach. So she taught me all the little, the couple shortcuts that you'll teach a very young kid for number sense. And it kind of just went from there.
Oh wow! So that was in second grade or whatever with your mom. That was your introduction to competitive mathematics.
I'm pretty sure if I'm remembering correctly, yeah. I mean, I remember my mom. My mom was my first coach for sure. That I remember. I don't remember what grade exactly it was in. Um, that part of my life is really fuzzy because I went from being in kinder in La Gruya, and then we went to La Jolla, and I was in first grade for a little bit, and then they moved me to second grade, and it was just like a whirlwind of a time in my life. And I think that's when I first remember, doing like a number sense test or learning, the little shortcuts and stuff like that. And then it just kind of grew from there.
Oh wow, wow. So I'm sure you're going to inspire many people with your story. But my question for you is, who inspired you and shaped your value system? I'm sure your mom had a role.
Sure. Yeah, of course. I mean, my parents, that's the answer. They've, they're educators. Like I said, they're career educators. They've always valued hard work and getting a good education. And I think that they realize that a competitive environment for me would be a nice way to kind of hone my skills, I guess, and kind of help me develop those a good baseline of math skills that's kind of followed me throughout my life. So yeah, that's basically where the bulk of my inspiration, especially when I was really young, came from.
All right, all right. So I do want to get to UIL, the 2004 and 2005 seasons, and San Isidro High School. So
Yeah,
what was San Isidro High School like in 2004 and 2005? What do you remember about those years?
yeah. It's such a small school. I mean, there was like 70 of us in the whole high school. Um, the way that the school is situated is it's all one campus since it's such a small school district. So it's the elementary, the junior high, the high school, they all kind of flow together. Um, yeah, I mean, I remember it fondly. I enjoyed my time there. Yeah, it's hard to kind of what do I compare it to? I don't know any other high school experience. So it was what it was. It was a fun time.
All right, all right. Do you remember your teammates, your coaches, or were you working solo in those days?
No, no, I wasn't working solo. So like I said, my mom was my coach when I was very young. When we moved to San Isidro, my first coach, kind of in fifth grade into junior high, is a guy named Tony Lopez. He was a math teacher in San Isidro. Um, at some point when I was in high school, he moved from San Isidro to La Jolla. Mr. Lopez introduced me to Pete Fuentes. Pete was my coach for my sophomore and junior years. Um, he was a teacher in San Isidro for a couple of years, I think. I don't know if it was 1 or 2 years, but he's the one that I practiced with the most in kind of that bridge year from sophomore to junior year, when I kind of got over the hump. And then I think Pete left my senior year, and my math teacher senior year was a guy named Joy Garcia. He wasn't so much a coach; he was more of like a chaperone, I guess. Once you get to that point, as a senior, there's only so much coaching you can do. There's not really much for anyone to learn at that point. It's just repetition and just having the muscle memory for the events. But yeah, that's kind of the arc that I went through with coaches.
I was going to say, but those sponsors are necessary. You need that adult to organize the
Definitely.
conversation, the
Yeah,
demonstration, to make it happen.
absolutely, absolutely.
Great shout out to your coaches, man. How about
Yeah.
teammates? You want to do a shout out to any fellow teammates? Do you remember any?
Yeah, I do. For the most part, my teammates, we had a little bit of success in mathematics as a team at a state level. We never won state. I think for the most part, we were most successful as a team in calculator applications. So my friends, Steven Trevino, Tony Rolando was another friend of mine who competed. It was pretty good. And then Stacy Science was also a teammate of mine. I haven't really kept in touch with them. I haven't really kept in touch with very many of my high school friends, save for a few. But if they see this, I hope they're doing well.
Yeah, absolutely. Did
Yeah.
y'all go to many tournaments?
Yeah. Basically, we went to it felt like it was every weekend. It wasn't that frequent, but we went to all the invitationals, all the UIL releases, all the TMSCA releases. It felt like we were going through that whole kind of sequence. The ABC tests, TMSCA 1 through 10 or whatever it was.
Absolutely.
But yeah, we went pretty frequently. It wasn't like I had other classmates that would compete in other UIL events. So some weekends it was just, the math and science teams that will go to like a Team SCA event at, Science Academy in the Valley, or other weekends it was a UIL meet that had the whole range of everybody. So it all depended, but it was pretty frequent.
So another thing I'm curious about is, a five-time state champion. What kind of study habits does a five-time state champion have?
Yeah. Gosh, I wish I remembered exactly what my routine was like. I remember it being a lot more work my freshman and sophomore years than it really was my junior and senior years. I think my junior and senior years, being on the basketball team, kind of took away a lot of my focus. But like I said earlier, a lot of it is putting in the early work, and then it's just kind of like just getting the reps. Probably, I would say a couple hours a week during the regular season, and then as we approached, district, regional, state, probably it was like an hour and a half a night. So, and really for the most part, any of the practice I was doing was number sense. The calculator and math tests, that I always felt like that wasn't the kind of thing that you could really study for those events specifically, just because those events are, it's more of just whatever your broad, base of knowledge is for math. And then the calculator event, so much of it is just not getting any of the calculation parts wrong, and then just having the knowledge base for doing the word problems and the geometry problems.
Absolutely. So I'm kind of curious, were there any rivalries in those days, like neighboring schools or at the state level or individuals?
Mm-hmm. Not really. It was kind of a weird situation for me because, a lot of my competition in the Valley for the invitational meets, none of it was coming from 1A schools. It was coming from, I was competing against the 4 and 5A schools, and these were people that I was never going to see at the state level. So that is kind of I guess if I want to call it a regret that I have about the way that the competition for me was structured, being from the Valley, is I was in a small school. None of the people that I was competing with on the weekends were people that I was ever going to see at state, because a lot of people from, 1A, 2A at state, for whatever reason, were coming from other regions. They weren't coming from region 4. So it never really worked out in a way that I had someone that was like, oh, I want to beat this guy or whatever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which calculator did you use?
I don't have it with me anymore. I have its successor, but I use the 32S2.
Oh, the 32S2.
Yeah, which I thought was a fantastic calculator. I'm so grateful that I got to learn RPN input on a calculator. It's something I still use today. I preach its merits to anyone who will listen to it. I have even the calculator app that I use on my phone. I have it set to RPN input. But yeah, no, the 32S2 was what I used back then. I think, my junior year, maybe around that time, maybe it was my sophomore year, they came out with the 33S. I didn't like the kind of chevron layout of the buttons on that one as much. So I stuck with the 32S too.
All right, very popular calculator, perhaps the most popular calculator. So
yeah. I wish I still had it at some point. It lasted. I use it throughout college. All my tests, all my engineering tests and physics tests and all that stuff in college, I used that calculator. And then at some point early on in my career, my work career, it broke on me, so I had to get a 35S.
Okay, cool. What was your most memorable moment or moments from those years? Was it the state meet?
Yeah, it was. I would probably say the state meet. The regional meets were a lot of fun too, because you have friends that qualify from the district level, and I think our school in general, we had a lot of success at the district meets and qualified for regionals. So going to regionals, it was always like a school bus full of us, and we had a great time, before and after the meet. And then of course we get whittled down for state. So for state, it's, there's 5 of us going instead of 25. So it was a lot of fun, going on those trips with friends and just spending time outside of a competitive environment.
Oh, absolutely. That's gotta be so much fun. You consider the vast state of Texas. To be number 1, that's special. 5 times, even more.
Yeah.
How does it feel to be a state champion?
I'm very proud of it. I remember those times fondly. It feels good. I don't know. It's just kind of like, at the time it felt like a relief. When I finally won my junior year, it felt like a relief to finally kind of get over the hump. And it made me feel like the work that I put in was worth it. But even if I hadn't won, I still would have felt really proud of the work that I put in and what I got out of it.
I'm glad you say that. Because only one person can win, right?
Yeah,
was
right.
You 5 times. That's incredible. That's why I'm interviewing you. But so many people who travel that journey, even if they don't make it to number 1, they've learned so much along the way. That journey has been so beneficial. I'm glad you said that. And even if you hadn't won, the travel would have been worth it.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. I mean, I think, so much of what I appreciate about the math competitions, it's great to win. It's great to have the medals and all those, fun memories of all the meets and stuff like that. But, really what I think about the most is just kind of the knowledge base that it's given me, that's kind of followed me throughout my life, especially when I think about number sense. I really appreciate number sense as a competition and as a concept. I think the way that it helps people that compete in number sense just think differently about the way that numbers work and interact with each other is really special and really useful.
Hey, those who know. That's a really good contest. That's a great contest.
Yeah.
Hey, where do you keep those gold medals?
Those are in my mom's possession. So my mom is she's my archivist. So she basically is the one that has all of my medals. She has them in a frame from state, and then she has all the regional and district medals and all that stuff. All the little, for a while we had, all my invitational meet trophies. Eventually she had to get rid of the trophies, but she kept all the little, name plates on them or whatever. So she still has all of that. She does a really good job of keeping all that stuff. And I really appreciate it, because whenever I ask her about something, she has it readily available. So
that's a proud mama, and rightly
yeah.
so. And rightly so.
Yeah.
Hey, mamas are great, aren't they?
They are.
Hey, where'd you go to college, and what degree did you earn?
So I went to Rice University in Houston, and I got a degree in mechanical engineering.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Did your UIL experience help you with your college and career path?
Yeah, definitely. Again, just like I said earlier, the way that training for these different math events, it it helped. Obviously, it gives you a base of mathematical knowledge, and it's not necessarily going to carry you all the way through college, because an engineering curriculum is not what's the shortcut when you multiply by 25, but it does kind of help you think about how can I approach this problem in a different way. The work ethic of I study XYZ number of hours a week. It has helped. I still use little shortcuts in my day-to-day job. I'll convert like a fraction for something that we're designing, and someone will be like, oh, how did you do that? And it's like, well, I try to explain it to them, and they're like, well, that doesn't make any sense. But yeah, it still follows me to this day. I can't look at a number without wanting to divide it by 3 and see if there's a remainder at the end.
Awesome. Hey, have you ever returned to San Isidro? Have you ever stepped inside that high school again, or is that just a distant memory?
No. My parents were there up until 2015, 2016, I think, is when they stopped working for the district. And they lived nearby, so probably up until 5 or 6 years ago, I was visiting regularly, every holiday season. Since they've moved away, they live closer to Corpus Christi now, so my mom can be closer to her parents. I haven't been back. It's been 5 or 6 years since I've been back there. I wish I had gone back, or I wish I could go back more regularly, but it just never kind of works out that way.
Hey, life's busy.
Life is very busy. Yeah.
I feel you, man. So, what do you value the most about your UIL journey?
That's a tough question, because there's a lot of things that I value. Really, just again, just the way that it has given me an appreciation for the way that numbers work. And again, when I answer these questions, it sounds like I have the greatest appreciation for number sense, and that's true, because that is my favorite event. It was the event that I was the worst at of the 3, I think. But I think that it piqued my interest the most, and it's kind of carried through for throughout my life what I've learned studying for that event. What I value is just that it's given me a lifelong appreciation for math. Competing was fun, winning was fun, but all those things, kind of looking at it 20 years down the road, it's nice, but it's not the most important thing that I got out of it, I don't think.
Sure. Wow. Hey, so the next question is the most important one, I think, that I ask. What advice would you give young students, maybe perhaps a younger version of yourself, that might come across this interview? Mike Garcia, 5-time state champion. What advice would you give a youngster listening to this?
If you have an interest in competitive math, pursue it. Even if competition is intimidating to you, who comes in first or second or third, it'll feel great in the moment if you win. It might feel crummy in the moment if you don't win. But what matters most is the skills that you develop. They're going to follow you throughout for the rest of your life. That I know for sure for everyone that chooses to pursue competitive math. And the people that you meet and the friends that you make and the memories that you have, like those are, you'll always have those too. It's such a big part of my life, and anyone that's interested in it, 100% pursue it.
Awesome. Absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, I will say, just don't make winning, the be all end all, because there's something to take away no matter where you place.
Absolutely. So what does the future hold for you, Mike Garcia, 5-time UIL state champion?
I don't know. I wish I could answer that. things that I'm excited about in the near future. My wife and I just had our son. He's about 6 months old. So
congratulations. Big deal.
Thank you. Yeah, it is. It's all consuming in a good way. I'm looking forward to raising him, seeing who he grows up to be. We have, in addition to our son, we have 3 cats, so they consume a lot of our time when we're not taking care of him. I'm at a really good point in my career. I enjoy my day-to-day work. So yeah, the future, I don't know. I don't know where I want to be necessarily in 5 years, but I'm excited about it.
Do you have visions of teaching number sense to your child?
I don't know if, I would love for him to have an interest in that. I don't necessarily want to push it on him.
Sure.
And I honestly, I don't know if there's an equivalent here in California. When I was at Rice and I would talk to friends from out of state, competitive math would come up. And I would talk about UIL and stuff like that. And, in other states, it seems like, it's more of like a math bowl where it's like a couple problems that are a lot harder than anything you would deal with. And it just ends up being kind of like a different competition that I think exercises different parts of your brain when it comes to math. So yeah, I don't know. If we ever moved back to Texas, I would love to introduce it to him. Obviously, just because I so personally know the value or kind of what it provides for someone if you are willing to kind of put in the work and work at that. But yeah, I don't know.
I will say Texas does it right. Texas does it right. I will say that.
Yeah, I agree. I really appreciate that it exists both for UIL and then, having the separate, the TMSEA test and competition system as well. I thought was really cool.
Awesome, Mike Garcia. Awesome. Any parting words or final thoughts as we conclude this interview?
I think we kind of covered everything. Again, if there's anyone out there that's thinking of dipping their toe in competitive math, or if you're working at it and you're feeling frustrated or dejected about, my scores aren't going up, or I would just say keep at it. There's always value in working at it, no matter what the outcome may be. I think it's really, really worth your time. So yeah, that would be my parting advice.
Awesome. Hey, I want to say, so you went to Rice. Your company's based in Houston, so you're somewhat familiar with Houston.
Yeah,
I'm in Houston. And
okay.
Let me tell you something. You ever find yourself in this part of the woods? Give me a call, man. I know some good taquerias. It'd be fun, man, to just chit chat, talk some UIL.
Yeah, absolutely. I love Houston. I consider, I lived in Houston longer than I've lived anywhere else. I was in Houston from 2005 when I started at Rice up until 2019. So 14 years.
Oh, wow.
A couple years in there, I lived in San Antonio. But for the most part, I was in Houston. So I consider Houston like a second home, basically.
Awesome. So drop me a line when you come by.
Will do, man. We'll do.
Mike Garcia, you look at the archives and you're a name, and it's very impressive when you see the name and all those state championships. But I really appreciate you coming on this show, coming on this channel, and giving that name a voice, a personality, a character, and making that name come alive. So now people will not just be stuck reading some archive name, but now you're speaking to them. And I really appreciate you doing that, man.
Well, thanks for having me. Thanks for giving me kind of like a platform to put a face to my name.
My absolute pleasure, man. I wish you the very best. And you take care of yourself, okay?
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Farewell, buddy.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Wow, what an enjoyable conversation. I really enjoyed talking to Mike Garcia, 5-time UIL state champion from the years 2004, 2005. A proud San Isidro High School Tiger in the Valley. And if you enjoy that sort of content, please hit the subscription button and the notification bell smash that like button and leave a comment below. It really helps me out with the YouTube algorithm, and let's get this material and this content to more and more people. I really appreciate your support. I have plenty of wonderful things in store for this channel in the future. Thank you very much for your support. My name is Saul Cantu, and this is Texas Math Mundo. Farewell.